All right, so I think we got a good amount, and then whoever else joins in, we'll just add them in. So I'll first introduce myself. My name is Kate, and I'm one of the nutritionists at OnPoint. I've been here for about, I guess this is my 3rd year. So recently we've been getting into a lot of these virtual events. Typically what we started doing before the pandemic started, we were trying to do in-person events. We were trying to get that rolling. But now this is actually probably working out better because we have clients in all different cities that wouldn't be able to come to our in-person events. So this is nice to be able to do these virtual events. And something that we hear a lot from clients is, or just things that people have trouble with is eating their vegetables or figuring out how to get their vegetables in or how to make their vegetables taste good. So I just want to walk you through some different cooking methods for your vegetables. So I want to go over sauteing, steaming. We did want to highlight air fryer techniques, but my air fryer broke actually. So I want to kind of talk about the air fryer and air frying techniques, but I'll show you kind of an alternative method to get your vegetables cooked like they would in an air fryer without having one, even though they're a great gadget. My basket actually rusted, so I had to get rid of it. And baking, which I think I said. So baking, sauteing, steaming, and then air fryer, but I'm actually going to do a broiler. So I pre-cut all of my veggies so that everybody didn't see me chopping and this webinar wasn't 2 hours. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight some different easy way to cook veggies, especially baking. This is a great way to batch cook veggies for a couple days or for the week. So baking veggies for a few days with simple ingredients like oil or spray, they keep really well. So for instance, if you're going to bake veggies for a few weeks, for a few days, you can keep them in an airtight container in the refrigerator for a couple days, and they stay pretty fresh. So the first step is to prepare your veggies. Someone else joining. Sorry. So the first step is to prepare your veggies, which for baking veggies, I'm going to do asparagus. So this actually comes in handy because we're having asparagus for dinner tonight. If anybody remembers, one of our OnPoint team members, Gal, she posted recipes recently for salmon burgers. So we made salmon burgers and then we're gonna have asparagus with them. So veggies that hold up really well for baking are kind of more hardy. So asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, potatoes, butternut squash, beans like chickpeas or edamame. Those are great ones to bake. Cauliflower, because they have a little bit more density. Carrots, and some of those things like the winter squash. Somebody asked if we were going to be talking about modified or frozen veggies, and I actually have an example of frozen coming up for the steamables because I use a lot of frozen veggies. But I will say you can cook the frozen veggies any of these methods. So yeah, we can work that in. But I was going to show you how to steam those. They could be baked. They could be sauteed. Oh, here he is. That's my dog, just came in from his walk. They can be steamed, which is what I'll show you. My favorite is to air fry them. So I haven't tried them in the broiler method yet, but you could do them like that, I'm sure. But yeah, I can tell you that example. So I'm gonna bake the asparagus. So what I did was chopped all the ends off, just to make sure that I got a good piece because the ends were a little dead. Sorry, somebody else joined. Just add them in real quick. Okay, and typically I like to spray the pan. So when I bake asparagus, I like to put tin foil down on my pan just so that it's easier to clean. And then also too, I think that they just kind of move around on the foil a little bit better and are easier when I flip them with the tongs so don't stick to the pan. So I did use the spray oil which is just one that we got from Costco, extra virgin olive oil spray. So you could like toss them with a little bit of regular olive oil or coconut oil or whatever type of cooking oil you like. Then I just like to kind of like add a few seasonings. So for asparagus, I just like to do like salt, pepper, and garlic. So I actually just kind of like all over. I have a salt grinder. I just kind of right on top. I already have my oven preheated to 350 too, while we were chatting. And I have a pepper grinder here too. So just put that on there. Make sure they just get all get coated. And then I put garlic on everything, which is what I have the biggest garlic you can get. So then I just toss that. And then I like when my asparagus is really firm. Sometimes it gets kind of like thin or stringy. I think that that's definitely a sign of it being overcooked. So you just want to watch it. So I'm putting it in the oven on 350. I'm going to check it in a little bit, but it probably should take like 10 to 15 minutes. So somebody had asked about if you were going to do frozen vegetables. I would probably defrost these before you put them in the oven. So if you wanted to bake them in the oven and they were like in a steamable bag, I would probably pop them in the microwave and maybe steam them up a little bit to get them soft, because you don't want to put them in the oven frozen. But that would be the best way to probably bake the frozen ones. You probably could put them on the pan frozen. It would just take a little longer, and the water would probably like melt down and might not be great to do it that way. I would probably just like nuke them maybe first, and then put them in there until they get crispy. So when I say crispy, I like mine to be like a little well done, especially in the oven. But minced garlic, spices, herbs, also mushrooms are good to bake. I'm also going to send out a recipe with the handout for the sheet pan veggies that we have on the member portal. So I'm pretty sure that includes potatoes and butternut squash, because they really keep their density and they get like hard on the outside and soft on the inside. So those are really great in the oven. This is a great way to cook a bunch of veggies for the week too, because I know you didn't see it, but it really only took me 2 minutes to chop off all the ends, put the foil down, I sprayed it, and then you saw I just added a few spices, popped in the oven, and now you can go and set a timer and do other things. I'm obviously going to stand and watch, but you know, you can make a few servings of vegetables in just a short amount of time for the whole week. So a lot of times when we realize we need to eat a vegetable, we don't have them cooked, or that's kind of thing is like, how am I going to prep these to make them taste good? Where this kind of just takes the guesswork out of it if you pre-prep them. Does anybody have any questions about baking or comments? You can just send it right through chat. Oh, there's my oven. It's done preheating. But yeah, just kind of like prepare and season the veggies is step 2. 3 is bake until tender or crispy on the outside, darker in color, and then just kind of like remembering to toss in between. So for asparagus, I like to do the tongs and then just kind of like turn them and shift them and make sure that they stay nice so they don't get messy. Somebody wrote a comment and said, I've seen recipes that say do veggies at 400. Do you recommend that? Yeah, you can. Honestly, I would say like whatever temperature you're comfortable with. I feel like my mom always cooked on 350, and it's like in my brain just to do 350 for everything. I'm comfortable I would just with 350. You can do 400 and then it would just be for a short amount of time. But yeah, you can do that. Any other questions? Hold on one sec. See a question. Somebody said if we were going to roast, preferred method for Brussels sprouts. So I actually on the handout, everyone's going to be getting a recipe for air fried Brussels sprouts. That is my favorite, or broiled. So what I like to do is get the fresh Brussels sprouts, and I do exactly the same thing as what I just did with the asparagus. I actually like to slice them in half, and then I typically just spray with spray oil, and then like to season them with salt, pepper, and garlic. Those are really like my main three for something like Brussels sprouts or asparagus. Broccoli too. I don't really use too many like other spices for just like a plain veggie like that. And then put them in the oven on broil, which I'll show you a little bit later, because they get crispy, almost like a charred texture, really good. They're so good like that in the air fryer as well. And then somebody said, if we were gonna roast peppers, same time, temp, and method. So roast peppers, that's a good one. I would probably do the same thing if you were gonna make them like peppers for fajitas. You could do that. I would actually probably saute them. I don't know. I would bake them if you were going to do stuffed peppers, but I might saute if you were going to do cooked peppers, which is what I'm going to demonstrate next. And then somebody asked, what temperature do we cook the veggies in the air fryer? Typically my air fryer, I would put up to 400 degrees when I used it, and it would be like 20 minutes. So I would take the basket out halfway through and toss them, which we'll talk about a little bit with the air fryer when we get there. So Susan sent a message for Brussels sprouts with salt, pepper, olive oil, pancetta, roasted on 400. Pretty much same thing as what I said, except it looks like she's adding pancetta, which it sounds delicious. I personally don't eat meat, but I know that they're really good with bacon or pancetta. Those go really well together, and that's a great suggestion. Thanks for sending that. Next, we have sauteing. So I already started my pan here. So I have a nonstick pan. So right now I have zucchini. I almost wish you guys could have seen them before. My dad grew this zucchini in his backyard, and it was this big. And I'm zucchini'd out because I've been eating zucchini for weeks now, because every time I see him, he just continues to give me more zucchini. So this is fresh Jersey zucchini, along with mushrooms from the farmer's market that's local to us, and then onions. So somebody had asked about peppers. Typically, I like to saute peppers, onions, zucchini, just because I think that they kind of like cook the best this way. Whenever I bake zucchini, it's a little bit too dense with water to be baked, and I just find that I can get it to a better consistency sauteing. Mushrooms are really good on the sheet pan as well, but I really like the flavor of the mushroom and onion together, so that's why I wanted to saute them. So what I did here was I had a nonstick pan, but I did spray it just so that nothing gets stuck in there. And then I also wanted to point out to everybody too, you can use cooking oil to coat your pan. So olive oil, coconut oil, really, sunflower oil, avocado, whatever oil you like. I like to do the spray just because I don't really like the oily taste on my vegetables or the texture. I think it's a little slimy. But you can also, if anybody wants to kind of like cut down on your fat servings and not use your fats on your cooking oil, you could just put a little bit of veggie broth or chicken broth in your pan just to coat it to make sure that nothing sticks, but it won't use any fat servings. It also adds like a nice flavor to it as well. I like to cook pasta in veggie broth instead of just plain water, because it adds a little bit of like little flavor to it, kind of like using a bouillon cube, if you've ever done that. So that's just another way that you could cook vegetables and make them fat-free. Anybody have any comments or questions? You can just send them right through on the chat. So your first step with sauteing is going to be to cut and prepare your vegetables. Obviously, we want to wash everything first. Also, too, like choosing the right pan and prepare for your cooking and heat heat your oil or spray your pan. So I'm using like a deep pan. I like this one because I can really like move these around and nothing's gonna fly out. It's really deep, so this is a really great one. I also have a wok that I love for sauteing too, because it's so deep and I feel like I can just toss everything around and the whole thing gets heated nice and even, like he says. I also have a cast iron skillet, which is another way that I'll do asparagus if I don't want to do it in the oven. Cast iron skillet you can use to saute as well. So then you want to add in your vegetables by cooking time. So veggies that take longer, you should add first. So longer cooking times are like carrots, potatoes, onions, frozen vegetables. So if I was going to cook this broccoli in with these sauteed veggies, somebody had asked about how to do frozen, I would put these in first, because they're going to take longer, and then maybe add in the mushrooms and the zucchini because those are softer and they don't take as long to cook. The onions you also want to add in first. So I have just onions, zucchini, and mushrooms, so I did just put them all in together. You could also do that. And then, yeah, like mushrooms and tomatoes and greens, they don't take a long time. You can just kind of like throw them in toward the end. And then you want to add seasonings, minced garlic, herbs, whatever you like. So I kind of just highlighted my go-tos over here. Salt. Like to do a lot of salt. Not a lot, but typically anytime I'm sauteing, you ran out of salt in my shaker, but I have more. And then pepper. Also getting used to cooking off an electric stove and used to having gas. Anybody who has gas knows it's so great. And then definitely garlic. So usually, like I said, I already sprayed my pan. I threw these in here, put all the spices in, and then I'm a big fan of just using a wooden spoon. So I like this flat one when I'm sauteing. And then I just like to use them around. I wish you guys could smell it. It smells so good. I kind of just toss them around to make sure everything's getting coated. Actually with my spices and like evenly cooked. Always toss these around. All right. And then these will also hold up pretty well for the week too if you wanted to batch cook your veggies like this. It just requires a little bit more attention, kind of like rather than putting them in the oven. So when I check on my asparagus, it's still looking good. It doesn't look tender though. I'm just gonna leave it for now and not toss it yet. So with a sauteed, you want to cook until they're kind of like slightly darker in color. With onions, you can tell that they're cooked because they go from hard and white to kind of like translucent and soft. My zucchini is getting like a little brown. So same thing with the mushrooms. So you can tell that they're cooking because their color is changing. These mushrooms are kind of like white when we first started. Now they're getting like a little brown, and the zucchini is getting like these cooking marks on them. Oh, I'm sorry. Everyone said you can't really hear me when I turn toward the kitchen, so I'll try to enunciate better. So I hope everybody heard what I said there. The recipe that I'm providing for the saute sample is the honey shrimp and veggies from the online portal. So that's a recipe highlighting honey shrimp, but then also it has sauteed broccoli. So there's a recipe for that. So does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, couldn't hear me. Hopefully you guys hear me now. So my next method is steaming. So if you have a food steamer, that's one way that you could obviously steam your vegetables. I am a big fan of frozen. So I like to either throw them in and just saute them, or use the air fryer, or steam. So admittedly, I buy the steam in the bag ones most of the time. And then I just throw them in the microwave. The steam, you know, they just steam right in the bag. If you buy these that are not steaming bag, you can do it on your own. So I just have a big bowl here, and somebody else is trying to join the meeting. 1 second. Somebody said tips for preventing zucchini from getting soggy. So yeah, it does get pretty soggy. That's why I like to saute it. I think that it actually does okay. I would say cut it into bigger chunks. I typically like to cut mine into big cubes. Another way would be if you wanted to broil it, that gets a little crispy. You could cut it into big pieces. I think the oil also kind of like makes it a little more dense too. Also, grilling it is nice. I'm not going to showcase that method, but zucchini is really good grilled as well. So, steaming. You just need to put enough in the bowl. Kind of like this is like a third of the way filled up. You don't need to cover the vegetables because the water is going to heat up and then kind of like rise and steam the veggie. So just put all of these in here. Empty this whole bag. And then I'm just gonna stick them in the microwave. So this is 6 to 7 minutes. So I usually like to start and I do like 2-minute increments, just to get a gauge of how well it's cooking. I just don't want it to get messy. So can you guys hear me if the microwave is running? We don't really need to. Okay, you can hear me. All right. So with the steamables, you can either do it this way in the microwave, so you can place them in a microwave safe dish. You can plastic wrap the top, and then kind of like add the water, no more water than it really takes to rinse off the vegetables. Like I said, I put like a third in that bowl, and then like you can leave a corner of the like bowl open to vent. So this one actually has a lid, and I just like prop the lid a little bit so that they steam and then some of the air can get out. If you were going to do it on the stove, you would get a large pot and then a steamer basket or a colander that would fit inside. And then what you do is fill the pot with enough water so that it barely reaches the bottom of the colander or steamer. And then you would, like once the water would come to a boil, add the veggies and place like a loose fitting lid on top and position it so that one side also hung over just to let some of the steam escape. So kind of the same difference as what we're doing in the microwave, except the veggies are in the water. When they're on the stove, which is probably the better way to do it, the basket isn't touching the water and the water is just kind of like steaming them. With these, I think it's just a little harder to get them to be as flavorful because they're not like cooking with spices. So especially since these are frozen already, when they come out and when I strain the water out, whatever's left in the bowl, I'll just season them with salt, pepper, garlic. But I just think that they taste a little bit better when they cook with the spices, which is my opinion. My zucchini is actually staying pretty well, so you get this in these big chunks. Let me show you how nice it looks. Everybody can see that. Looks so great. And onions. Sorry, I realized you can't hear me. My onions are looking brown, so they're kind of browning. They're getting like a little caramelized, which is nice. So I was kind of like going through and talking about the different cooking methods, and I keep saying herbs and spices and different like oils that you can use. So with herbs, I recommend parsley, thyme, dill. You can like chop up the leaves and sprinkle over steamed veggies, or you can use them when you're sauteing or baking as well. Garlic, so chopped garlic can really be added to any vegetable. Leafy greens and kale really benefit from like the extra garlic zing, just because they're kind of bitter. And then you can also saute garlic with olive oil and toss it with the vegetables after they're steamed, or with the sauteing, I just put the garlic right in there. I also like to use minced garlic too. And then could have done the same thing with the asparagus. Sometimes what I like to do is take a mixing bowl and add all my spices into it, and then, excuse me, put the vegetables in it and toss them in the bowl before I put them on the pan. So that's also an option too. Lemon, you can also like add a few slices of lemon or lemon zest to vegetables. So that goes really well with broccoli, green beans, summer squash. You could add lemon juice to the steaming water when you're steaming vegetables, which would help flavor those a little bit. You could squeeze lemon over top after they're done. Goes really good with the asparagus as well. And then oils, so like olive oil, sesame oil. If you like to use soy sauce or fish sauce, you can add those things right to the steaming water when you're steaming vegetables. And then obviously afterward, or when you're baking or sauteing, you can put it right in there toward the end. So sesame oil goes really good with like the Asian veggies like bok choy, sesame seeds, salt, and white pepper. So really great. Another thing I really like to use is adobo. This is great. I also like to add this with salt and pepper as a marinade with olive oil and balsamic vinegar. That makes a really great marinade. So this is a really good spice that's kind of like a mix of a couple different things. Flavoring your veggies is how you're going to make them interesting, and making sure that you kind of like enjoy them. Because if we just try to eat like frozen broccoli, it's not interesting. It doesn't taste good. So kind of like experiment with different spices and see what you like. I also wanted to talk about the air fryer. So anybody in here have an air fryer? So I used to have one, like I was saying, like the basket rusted. So, Ebony said she does. What's your favorite thing to cook in the air fryer? Everything. So I used to like Brussels sprouts and broccoli. So I wanted to just highlight and talk about that a little bit. So air fryers use circulating hot air to cook food that would be like otherwise submerged in oil. So typically like anything that's like potatoes, or like potatoes are really good in the air fryer, Brussels sprouts, like anything that would be typically fried. So it's a way to make a fried food, essentially, something that would be submerged in oil without doing that. So the air fryer's cooking chamber radiates heat from the heating element near the food, and it cooks it more efficiently. So it kind of is like, works like a small high-speed convection oven. So for the air fryer, typically I say prep the veggies by chopping and seasoning with spices, herbs, and cooking oil, or broth, and spray the basket. Then what you would want to do is place the veggies in the air fryer and then toss them every few minutes to prevent burning. So I kind of like when they get a little crispy or a little burnt on the end, but you kind of want to do that to your liking. So with Brussels sprouts, I would set them for 20 minutes, but then I would take them out every like 5 minutes or so, just to make sure you toss them, because the basket's small. And the ones that are like on the top and the bottom, like don't get evenly cooked. So just want to make sure that you do that. And then cook to desired crispness and serve. Like I said, I can't demo because my air fryer is no longer, but what I did do was I did cut up potatoes. So this is something that is really good in the air fryer. I cut potatoes like in the shapes of fries. This is something where if you cook them in the air fryer, they get really crispy. So kind of like crispy on the outside and then soft on the inside. Potatoes are great in the air fryer. as well as Brussels sprouts. I'm providing everybody with an air fried Brussels sprouts recipe if you have an air fryer. So what I'll do with these instead is I'll put them in the oven and we can change it from bake to broil. And these don't need as much time. They really only need like 10 to 15 minutes, but it's going to be the same method. I spray that pan. I'm going to coat them with spices and then put them in the oven on broil, making sure that I check it every few minutes, toss them around, make sure that they're not sticking to my pan and then not burning. And then they'll be really crispy on the outside and kind of like soft on the inside. So again, like the broiler feature kind of works just like the air fryer if you have that on your oven. So this is an electric oven and electric stove, and it has a broiler feature. So these are pretty much how I like them. These were sauteed the whole time that we were kind of like talking. I wish you guys could smell that sauteed onion. Smells so good. Those are pretty done for my liking. I like to, I buy Tupperware containers like this that snap. So these are really great for keeping your veggies really fresh in the fridge. And let's check on our asparagus. All right, so you can see that the tips are kind of getting like a little darker. So it's looking pretty good. I just want to toss these a little bit. Does anybody have any questions or comments that they want to add in? Or is there like a cooking method we didn't talk about, or any veggies that you're not really sure how to cook, or anything that you guys need help with in the way of vegetables? These are looking so good. They're little, they're close. I like them to be a little bit darker on the tips. So I'm just gonna put these back in. I also wanted to let everybody know that on the OnPoint Nutrition member portal, in the client perks or member perks section, there is a $10 off coupon for your first order of Hungry Harvest, which is a produce delivery service where you can get produce delivered at home, which is great for right now if you're not able to get to the store or if you need produce in between your shops, which I know everybody on this program probably eats a lot of fruits and vegetables, and I feel like I'm going to the store probably every week for those. So that's a really great company that we partnered with. Someone said, does anyone recommend asking about air fryer brands? I had I can't even remember the name of it, but it was from Amazon, and I had 2 of them. Both of the baskets rusted. So it was turquoise. Don't get that one. I can't think of what the brand name was, but it was terrible. Somebody said, my veggies turn out kind of plain. Any tips for coating with oil/spices? Yeah, all of the spices and the oils that I named. Also too, I'm going to be in the handout that you get after attending the event. You're also going to get kind of like a list of different spices. So ones that I put on my list were salt, pepper, garlic, cumin. Cumin is like the main ingredient in taco or chili seasoning, so it's really flavorful. I'm gonna put that on the potatoes. Cayenne pepper, adobo, ginger, Italian seasoning, red pepper flakes. I think these are all things that are kind of like pantry staples and things that should be just in this spice cabinet because you'll use them for an array of different things. So red pepper flakes, I like to put that on my avocado toast in the morning. It's really good. Italian seasoning you can use like when you're cooking your meats, or if you want to use that with broccoli, like that would be great. Ginger is great if you're trying to do more of like a stir fry or like Asian vegetables. Cumin, it goes good on potatoes and like those hearty vegetables. Salt, pepper, garlic are kind of like the mains. I've seen it in the store where it's all 3 of them in one, which is like perfect. As far as herbs, fresh garlic, fresh ginger, basil, oregano, rosemary, dill, cilantro, those are all really flavorful, and you can actually grow your own. Right now I'm growing basil and oregano, and then when it gets to be like fall, I'll bring them inside. But it's nice to have those, and I just like cut up a couple leaves and throw them in, and they're great. Sauces or juices, you can do lemon, lime, salsa, hummus, barbecue sauce, balsamic vinegar, teriyaki sauce, soy sauce, hot sauce, olive oil, sesame oil, avocado oil. Again, like the broths, those really give a lot of flavor. Lemon does as well. Salsa is really like underused. I think that, you know, like salsa is really just a condiment. It doesn't count as anything, especially if you have a really good ingredient one. Oh, someone said curry. Someone said, I don't know how to use spices other than to shake some spices on, and it's a shot in the dark. Honestly, same. I mean, you'll get to know how much you really like when you're experimenting with spices. You have to kind of like play around with it and see how much you like. For me, I love a lot of garlic, so I always quadruple any garlic in a recipe. I honestly would just start small because you can always add, you can't always subtract. So, you know, I didn't really taste these. So I'll taste. Yeah, I mean, I kind of know myself at this point, how they're going to taste. So I would just start small, and then kind of, you can always add more as you're cooking. Do a little taste test. Shake some spices on. It's a shot in the dark. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I kind of highlighted all of the favorite spices. You'll get that on that handout. Somebody asked about, do I cook potatoes before putting them on broil? I don't. These potatoes, I just chop them. So let me see if I can bring you over here. So everybody can hear me and see me. I already sprayed my pan. I just wanted to give it a little bit more of a spray. So this is just olive oil spray. This doesn't count as anything either. 0 calories. So I'm just gonna put these right on here. And then again, salt, pepper, garlic. Those are like my mains. Now with potatoes, I mentioned I like to add cumin. And with these, I actually am going to add cinnamon too. They're so good on the potatoes. Has anybody ever done that? Cinnamon is so good. It's only a little bit because cinnamon is super flavorful. So I'll show you what this looks like after I get it all on here, so you can see like how much of it I used. But now I won't cook these before broiling them. So now I have cumin. Honestly, I would just go into the spice aisle if you don't have any of these things, and just kind of like experiment and try some different things that seem interesting to you. There's also, you know, all these recipes that we're sending out include the spices, the cooking times, and the cooking methods. Someone said they're going to try with sweet potatoes. Cinnamon is so good on them. So I have my cinnamon here. I'm just going to do like, I mean, I have a lot of potatoes here. I'm just putting just a little dash. All right, so this is what they look like. This is a non-stick pan. I don't like to use foil on my potatoes only because they stick to the pan or to the foil, and they're not as easy for me to flip. That's why I sprayed this pan. It's a non-stick cooking sheet, so it should be okay here. And then my asparagus is pretty much done. So now that the oven is already been heated up, I can add in the potatoes and then change it to broil. So those are all set. And then I'm going to add in my potatoes and change them to broil. And then I'm just going to put it on high. And somebody said they were going to try to do that with sweet potatoes, which sounds great. Anybody have any other questions or comments? My broccoli, I didn't want to turn on the microwave again. So I only had that in there for 2 minutes, still cold. I'm going to put it in there for another 2 and see how it comes out. Does everybody feel like they learned something on like how to cook veggies and make them a little more flavorful, or are we still feeling less confident? Honestly, too, another thing is I recommend that you, to my clients, that you just add vegetables to, you know, like whatever it is that you're cooking. So typically, if you have your veggies with meals and fruits for your snacks, you should be able to hit both of those targets, your fruit target and also the vegetable target if you pair them with your meals. So if you already have it mapped out that you're going to have veggies with lunch and veggies with dinner and then fruits for snacks and maybe breakfast, then you should hit all of those targets. So last week I made pasta. I had chickpea pasta and I completely just pulled this out. I had mushrooms, I had onions, and I had asparagus. So I just chopped them up and I sauteed them just like I just did in that pan. And then I made pasta separately. And then once the pasta was cooked, I tossed it into the sauteed veggie pan and then just mixed it all together. That way I didn't just eat pasta with no vegetables. So I feel like there's always a way that you can add in veggies to whatever it is that you're eating, even if it's a smoothie at breakfast. You can add cucumbers, you can add cauliflower. Cauliflower is so good in a smoothie. It makes it really creamy and it doesn't change the taste at all. Same thing with spinach. Somebody asked about getting kids to eat more veggies. That's one way, is I like to put them in smoothies. When my vegetables start to get a little brown or start to go bad, I chop them up and freeze them, and then you can saute them later. So that's one way to also to reuse and make sure that you keep them, or that you're using your food and not wasting, but also putting them in smoothies. So I have a bag of, I'll show you, spinach from when the greens start to go bad. Just put them in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer, and then I use this in my smoothies. And actually, it helps a lot because I don't have to add as much ice because the spinach is frozen. Cauliflower you can just put in raw, same thing with a cucumber. Another way to get kids to eat more veggies, put them in with the pasta too. You could also cook them in with like eggs, or if you make like a quiche or something like that. I also just made zucchini bread with the zucchinis that my dad gave me, and I made zucchini brownies as well and took them to someone's house and they had no idea there was zucchini in them. Also too, like maybe getting your kids to help you cook the veggies, because I feel like they feel really proud when they help cook something and want to eat what they made. Also too, you could kind of like puree it and put it in the sauce. I feel like anytime you put veggies with pasta and sauce, you don't really know that it's in there. And then somebody asked about cauliflower. So cauliflower in a smoothie, I love that. I like cauliflower is really good. That was lumped in with the baking because it's one of those heartier veggies and it's nice baked. I think sauteing for me just gets a little soggy, so I don't really do too much sauteed. I also really like it raw with hummus. Another way is in the air fryer. It's really great. So the cruciferous veggies like cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, those are really good in the air fryer because they hold up really well and hold the spices and get kind of crispy. Somebody asked for the recipe for the zucchini brownies. Yeah, I will find a way to get that to you guys. So this recipe is great. It's zucchini. There's actually, I believe it's on the member portal. Let me see if I can pull it up and send it here in the chat. But I'm pretty sure it's on the member portal. Does everybody know that there's a recipe database on the member portal? So you would go onto your member portal, go to the recipe database, and right now I'm typing in brownies. And zucchini brownies is the first thing that pops up. And I'm going to send it right here. And actually the picture is the one that I took. Okay, there's the zucchini brownies. Oh wait, make sure I sent that to everybody. Does anybody have any other questions or comments? Another thing with cauliflower is a lot of people have been doing rice cauliflower lately too, which you would just want to pulse that in a food processor. You can make your own if you have cauliflower florets. or a head of cauliflower, you can just put that right in the food processor and pulse it until it crumbles. And then it creates like a rice. And then I like to saute that just with like a little bit of broth or cooking spray till it gets a little soft. And then you can use that like you would rice and put other vegetables and protein with it. Or you can also add that to regular rice so that your portion feels like it's, you know, bulkier rather than just half a cup of rice, and that you're eating more. But it's also a serving of vegetables too, if you're not really like too big on eating them, just like straight up. All right, so on the handout, you're going to get a summary of everything that we talked about, in addition to different recipes utilizing these cooking methods. And then there's also going to be a recording of the event on the member portal if you want to go back and look at anything. So yeah, I had a lot of fun showing you guys some different cooking methods. I hope you learned something and that vegetables are more exciting to you now. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to send them through here or ask your nutritionist. Any comments or questions? All right, cool. Thanks for joining me, guys. This was great. And you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks. And you're welcome. We'll see you guys next time. In a couple weeks, I think we're going to talk about nutrition labels and kind of like snacking. So I'll be back in a couple weeks. We have some other content coming for you in the next couple weeks from different therapists and life coaches that we know. So look out for those, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.